those worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program once again, Enfuegotainment. That's right, so stoked to have you here. You can just call me Fuego for short, and I have another Fresca Fuego review coming at all of y'all right now. This came out this past weekend, and not a lot of people went and saw it. I actually, when I was on Show Business on the Willis Screedy YouTube channel, which I urge all of you to go and subscribe to, I've been doing some guesting on their Monday evening program called Show Business, as I mentioned. That's basically a weekend box office wrap-up, and so I had predicted on that show, which airs 9 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, that I thought it was gonna crack the top 5. I actually predicted it to be the number 2 at the box office, make some serious money, because Booksmart was basically billed as SUPERBAD for girls, and that's exactly what it is in a lot of ways, but sadly it did not finish very well. And so Olivia Wilde's directorial debut, pretty impressive actually. I can't say I absolutely loved it, but I will say that I do love these sort of, you know, coming of age, last day of school, whatever party type stuff. Dazed and Confused and Can't Hardly Wait, most notably, are 2 of my favorite films of all time. And then I really like stuff like Saved and Mean Girls and The Girl Next Door, and most recently adored Lady Bird, really liked 8th Grade, even Blockers, which is a very similar kind of approach to this, albeit that was more so from the dueling perspective with both the parents and with the kids. And in some ways I feel like that movie was better in some regards, whereas this one was stronger in others, most notably from a directorial standpoint. You know, I think Olivia Wilde, as a first-time director, and she is a fantabulous actress, you know, getting behind the camera for the first time, did a terrific job. So here on Enfuegotainment, we always cover the Bueno, the Malo, and the Feo, as you see, boom, 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 below. And so yeah, I will actually start out with that by saying this film was very well directed, and just the team Olivia assembled, whether it was cast, whether it was, you know, just the team, Dan the Automator, I want to say, or Dan the something or other, I don't know. The team that she put together to assemble the music, most notably for this, just everything really. It's very slickly put together. There is some terrific scenes. I mean, there's a trip out scene that's very much, you know, it owes a debt of gratitude to like Better Off Dead, you know, where the girls are kind of tripping on drugs at one particular point, and they envision themselves as these like little like Barbie dolls, like genderless with tot still, whatever. That's funny. There's a dance sequence with one of the girls and her crush that's really great. And I mean, there's some underwater sequences once they finally get to the party they're trying their asses to get to. And I mean, it was just very slickly put together. I enjoyed the finished product, and while I can't say I absolutely was over the moon in adoration for this film, I thought Olivia Wilde did a terrific job directing it. Also, the characters, while initially I was like, I wasn't so much feeling the characters very much, especially, and that comes with the trepidation of seeing so many films like this before, stuff like SUPERBAD, stuff, you know, like all the other aforementioned movies that I rattled off at the very beginning here. But the characters really grew on me over time, especially the 2 kind of wacky, outcasty type characters that you think are a couple initially, and then as the film goes on you realize, oh, they're just really tight friends and they're both kind of nuts. You know, one is the super rich kid who tries to throw a party of his own and things don't necessarily go very well, and I really liked his character. But my personal favorite, the portrayal that steals the movie, is this character of Gigi. She is hilarious. Every single scene that she shows up in, she just munches the fuck out of the scenery, tripping on all kinds of different substances and stuff, and just, I mean, jumping on the piano and just showing up at every party, and, you know, just her interactions with our duo of ladies, the 2 best friends, are just great. And that's another thing. You really buy into the friendship of these 2 girls, very much so. I didn't, not all of their jokes hit, and the fact that so much of what they go through is a lot of the beats that we've seen before. I think that's why I really enjoyed the supporting cast a lot more so than I was anticipating, and probably gravitated towards them a little bit. Like the 2 theater kids, the 2 gay boys, they're so fun. Absolutely just a riot. They also pretty much take over every scene that they're in, and I love them. They are so funny when they're talking about they're going to be doing all of Shakespeare's comedies as tragedies. It's like Shakespeare in the parking lot. I mean, that was funny. There's some creative writing in this, and there's some jokes that are really amusing and really hit, especially the the girl who's gay, of our main duo, and her parents being Christian, but just like hesitantly trying to embrace and accept. It leads to one very, very funny sequence with Lisa Kudrow and I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's Will Forte Will, I don't know. He's a former SNL guy, and it's very, very funny. And then you've also got Jason Sudeikis as the principal. He's funny in the couple scenes that he's in. I still really prefer Lady Bird to this movie, and in some ways, as I said, I prefer Blockers, but yeah, this was fun. It was really good, and I was honestly surprised in the third act that they hit me in the feels to the extent that they did. I had a feeling they were going to. All of these sort of coming of age, you know, raunch out kind of comedies, they always try to go for something like an emotional lining in the third act, but this one really hit it, I must admit. I was impressed, and there was one particular surprise that I was just like, that's shitty for both characters, actually, without spoiling anything. So I think I've rattled off a lot of the stuff that I enjoyed the direction, I enjoyed the music, I really enjoyed the supporting cast, and the emotional warmth that they brought to the third act. I think that really hits most of the bueno in this movie, most of the good. Segueing into Malo, the movie has the fact that it has so much familiarity working against it, and I think maybe that was one of the reasons why there was the struggles at the box office and stuff. And also there is a little bit of heavy-handed social commentary in certain aspects, you know, but it's nothing that I would personally have a problem with, but it is something that certain folks that I know of certain political and social persuasions, certain closed-minded mentalities, they might be. There's one scene that has had a lot of discussion, in particular involving a unisex bathroom at the school, and I don't see why the hell so many people made a big deal about it, but yeah, I don't know. I could see some people like, anyway, and also that, I mean, there's not really an abundance of bad aside from the fact that with a movie like this, it's tough to have a lot of originality, you know, and the ways that they made this film so unique was with just the slickness of the editing and with the music and all the different, you know, whether it was the hip hop and the raunch level and then, you know, the F-bombs and all this different stuff. I mean, I don't know, and maybe it wasn't quite as filthy as I was expecting. I think that there was honestly a little more of just like a shock value to Blockers. I keep comparing it to that because they came out so close to each other within the last year, and so I think it's inevitable. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really the biggest fan of SUPERBAD to begin with. As far as like the youthful teen comedy, I prefer other stuff like the second American Pie movie or the other movies that I mentioned, you know, at the beginning. You know, like Dazed and Confused and Can't Hardly Wait are like the creme de la creme for me and stuff. So Feo, it's really the biggest thing as far as ugly goes is the fact that both of the girls have crushes, and without spoiling things, there's something that happens with their respective crushes, you know, separately. That's just it's a bummer, and it's an ugly, tough moment. And then, I mean, there's this is kind of ugly that you've got the teacher that hooks up with a student. That's funny, and you're just like, ooh, and she's like, you're 20, right? It's like, you got held back a few years, right, bro? Dude's got some red hair, though. But you know, the real ugly, I guess, you know, beyond the way some may perceive it, which I mentioned in the Malo, in the bad, the ugly here would probably be the sheer fact that this did so poorly at the box office. And I mean, I didn't help the problem. I was one of the people who went and saw Aladdin and Brightburn instead this past weekend, as opposed to going and checking out this film. And Booksmart really, especially in the ending, it had some legit heart to it. And whereas I started off a little standoffish and some of the initial jokes weren't landing with me, as it went on, the characters, you know, eventually endeared themselves to me. Pretty much everybody in the main cast. And so the ugly and the travesty really is the fact that this wasn't, I think it made like $8 million over the course of the opening weekend or something. So I'm hopeful that with the Rotten Tomatoes rating, with the fact that a lot of people are still buzzing about it on Twitter, especially within, you know, the industry and the space and stuff like that, I hope that they at least keep it in theaters a few additional weeks and don't just do the immediate pull. I know one reviewer after I saw this was saying that they thought they should have gone limited and then wide, just to kind of get that buzz and that word of mouth. I'm hoping the word of mouth is spreading over the course of this week, but it's also tough with a movie like this, even if it is counter-programming. The ugly aspect is that releasing something like this in the summer, it's blockbuster season. I mean, you have this film wedged in between, you know, the John Wicks and the Avengers and the Aladdins, obviously, and even the Detective Pikachus and, you know, all of these different huge budget fare. And then, you know, you've got this cool, you know, like hip, smart, funny comedy, and, you know, they don't always hit the way that you would hope. And, you know, I didn't love it, as I said, but I really appreciated a lot of what they were going for, and I really enjoyed the ensemble here, especially the two girls. I thought they were really solid, but the show was stolen in a lot of ways, in my estimation, by a much more interesting supporting cast than I was initially expecting. So I guess that's going to be the end of the road for this particular review, everybody. I have been Jaime En Fuego, and you can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, which is where you are right now. If you dug this video, please, porfa y gracias, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button so you can help me in getting to a GZ, because when I get a GZ, I can actually start access to a lot of other really cool options as far as streaming and, you know, monetization things, and just actually, you know, this labor of love that I ignored for like a year and a half, getting back up and running the way that I would like to see it going, getting the live show going, Enfuegotainment Live, where I do basically, you know, some news of the day, and a weekend show that I'm calling Geekend Rewind that would also be live. I want to get these additional essences of program, you know, is kind of going and rocking proper, because I love covering this sort of stuff, and, you know, stuff besides film reviews and the occasional trailer reaction, but more of what's been on this channel since I relaunched it at the beginning of the year. I've been doing Star Wars complete canon coverage, as I'm calling it. So I just recently put up an old review of Solo, a Star Wars story from last year, but I'm actually going to be doing a revisit along with the novel, which is an expanded version of the story. So that's going to be coming very soon. I've already done, I'm doing a main movie a month, so I've already done the Clone Wars animated film and the prequels along with the Solo film. I've started some brand new book reviews like Master and Apprentice, which is a Qui-Gon Obi-Wan prequel story that's very good. I also did Dooku Jedi Lost recently, got into some comic stuff from Marvel. There's going to be more coming very soon as we finish up all of the prequel coverage and segue into the official trilogy, properly original trilogy, I should say, 4, 5, and 6. So that's exciting. But if you're here, you probably have seen me on the Spooktacular YouTubies on youtube.com/The Horror Show channel, where we do trailer reactions, we do convention coverage, all kinds of fun stuff from Texas Frightmare, and most recently from Phoenix Fan Fusion, where I did a Stephen King panel all about King in the Year of 19. It was a blast. We filmed that along with a horror remakes panel and a horror feels panel called I'm Not Crying, You're Crying. So those are going to be debuting on the channel very soon, and we just recently reviewed Godzilla, King of the Monsters. We were at the press screening for that. Also look forward to a review of Ma on the Horror Show and a review of Rocket Man coming from me this weekend as well. So I guess that's going to be all she wrote, at least for now, y'all. So I shall finish things off as I always do by saying, until the reel of Ka, for all you King fans, comes around once more. Hasta luego, Cinemigos, but I am hopeful that we get to reconnect sooner rather than later. Peace out.